Over the last couple of months, we've been working on my 1981 square body that we dropped a fully refreshed 350 small block into with a bald eagle cam, and we just finished breaking it in. In the last video, we drained the break-in oil and cut open the oil filter to have a look inside and make sure that our brand new flat tappet camshaft survived the break-in. Luckily, we didn't see anything out of the ordinary, but that doesn't mean that we're in the clear. We now have to switch from a dedicated break-in oil to a good quality everyday oil. And that is where this stuff comes in. This is Rotella T4, which means it is a conventional 15W40. This is actually technically designed for a diesel engine, but the reason I'm going with this oil specifically is because A, it's really good quality oil, and B, straight from the factory, it comes with a very high zinc content, which is what you want with a flat tappet camshaft. Additionally, for the first oil change, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put in about half a liter of automatic transmission fluid on top of the oil. This is just kind of an old school trick. If an engine's been sitting for a very long time, the seals tend to dry up a little bit, especially in a cold shop environment like we have here. So putting half a liter of ATF in with the oil is said to soften those seals up a little bit and provide them with the best possibility of creating a good sealing surface. So with all of that said, let's chuck a new oil filter on this thing and get this baby filled up.
So then, let's get to work. Now, I'm sure if you're watching this, you already know how to change your oil, but here's the process that I use for every vehicle that I work on. And it all starts with the age-old debate: to prime or not to prime. Ultimately, it's up to you, but with a 15 weight winter rated oil, I promise you it takes a lot longer for your engine to get good oil pressure when it has to fill up a giant oil filter first. And don't forget to give your oil filter seal a little tickle to keep it from drying up and welding itself to the block. Now we can go ahead and pop this oil filter on, and I don't know who needs to hear this, but stop putting oil filters on with a filter wrench. Hand tight means hand tight. Unless the Hulk himself installed the oil filter the last oil change, it should come off by hand. Now, before we lower the truck and finish the oil change, I do want to top up the gearbox oil before I forget about it and ruin this ancient 3-speed that's made out of unobtainium. To get this transmission fully sealed up, we need to connect our new speedo cable. Yes, that's right, boys and girls. Back in the day, the speedometer used a cable. Now we can go ahead and pump some 80W90 gear oil into our transmission. Well, at least attempt to pump some gear oil in, as the shop is around 0 degrees this time of year, so this shit was thick as honey. Except it didn't quite smell as good. If you know, you know. Now that the underneath fluids are done, let's do the overneath fluids, starting with the oil. Like I said before, we're going to start with about a half a liter of gender-neutral shift juice, and then we can add about 4 liters or just over 4 liters of our Rotella. And don't forget, start your vehicle up before you check the level, especially if you didn't pre-fill your oil filter even though you should have. And now for the last of the overneath fluids, the power steering fluid, which we haven't topped up since bleeding the power steering system, so we're going to go ahead and do that now.
And just like that, this engine is officially broken in. And I know that there's one thing that you guys have been waiting for. I teased it a little bit at the end of the last episode. Let's get the idle set on this thing, and then you guys can finally hear what this camshaft sounds like. Definitely not loud enough, but 550, 600-ish. And I think she's pretty dang happy there. And she sounds like she's gonna have all the bald eagles, baby. Now we just gotta make her a little bit more loud.
And now comes the time for final assembly. Time to pretty this truck up again. It has spent way too much time with only one fender on it. We once again had to call in some backup to help us mount some of these body panels back to the truck. Remember, this truck was built when things were made out of solid steel and not tinfoil, so the pieces weigh a lot more than they do now. Once everybody fucked off, it's time to deal with the rat's nest of a front wiring harness. I decided I was going to leave redoing this section of harness that includes some of the original 6-cylinder and emissions wiring for a later date, but that doesn't mean we can't at least make it presentable. After all, I did still have some Tessa tape left over from the engine harness build. If you haven't seen any of the previous videos, I'll leave a link in the description to the playlist. So after wrapping up some of this exposed section of harness, we can go ahead and route the wiring along the front of the cross member in order to feed all of the lights at the front of the truck, as well as the 2 horns. And once we have the wiring where we want it, let's go ahead and put some of these spare tire items back in their place, and this will officially complete the engine bay. Now we can go ahead and move on to assembling the front grille sections and installing the rest of the lights. And finally, the front bumper can be slid back into place, completing the front end that's been off for way too long. Even though aesthetically we haven't changed much on this truck, you can't deny that a square body front end isn't timeless.
Now comes a time where we have to say goodbye to this truck, at least until the warmer weather comes back around. We do have a couple of odds and ends to finish up in the spring, but for the most part, this truck is ready for another season, and I cannot wait to drive this thing with all the upgrades that we did. As always, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button and turn on that bell so you don't miss any future videos, especially the ones coming in the spring with this truck. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.